Okay, I just want to talk about some of this video footage that is going around about Andrew Tate, the video footage that's been leaked. Okay, various things I've seen. One where he's threatening to beat this woman and she runs and locks herself in the bathroom. Okay, and then there's one that's been released where this is the woman, I believe this is the woman that's accused him of rape. And there's video footage like this.
You didn't like that I was thinking I can do whatever I want to. That's what it is. I'm the smartest person on this planet. Am I a bad person? Because the more you didn't like it, the more I enjoyed it. I f***ing loved how much you hated it. Turn me on. Are you seriously so offended I strangled you a little bit? You didn't f***ing pass out? Chill the f*** out. Jesus Christ, I thought you were cool. What's wrong with you?
The accuser included a message apparently sent from Tate reading, quote, "I loved raping you."
Now, as usual, like, the reaction from people, on the right or in the red pill community, manosphere and all that is to, like, still, like, defend him and say, oh, well, you know, women are just such liars all the time.
I do not believe that Andrew Tate is a rapist. I don't. I think that is what people like to accuse men of when they're trying to take them down.
Okay, now, I understand. Some people do make stuff up, yes, okay. There are women who will lie and say that they were raped or abused when they were not, okay. And it is also true that, like, well, some couples, they can get into, like, this sort of BDSM stuff, okay, which is their business, alright. But, when you have, like, the woman is actually, like, saying that she didn't like it, okay, and, he's acting like she's irrational for not liking it. It's like, okay, well, the woman does have a right, like, she does have a right to say, no, I don't want to do that, okay, and I kind of find it a bit, like, funny how people can listen to that video footage and still be like, oh, well, he can't have done anything wrong, and it's like, well, okay, I understand that people can make false allegations, but this is leaked, like, tape recording, okay, this is, you know, and you know, the footage as well of the woman locking herself in the bathroom, it's like, well, why is she doing that then, if she's got nothing to fear?
That's right, lock the door, you knew I was going to beat the out of you. If you behaved, I wouldn't have to hit you, would I?
You know, I had a little conversation, like, in the comment section of a video with some guy about this, and he says, like, don't you ever, like, you know, make threats, like, you say, like, oh, I'm gonna kill you, but you don't mean it. Like, people say this when they're angry, don't they? They say, like, I'm gonna kill him, or I'm gonna kill her when I get my hands on him, but you don't mean it, okay? At least most of the time, people don't mean it, right? It's like, well, yeah, everybody says that sometimes, but people's reaction isn't to run and lock themselves in the bathroom, is it? Because they don't really take you seriously, okay? They don't think it's a serious threat, alright? When somebody runs away and locks themselves in a room to get away from somebody, this kind of indicates that they are actually scared, you know? And it's just, again, it's like all this, like, hamster rationalizing things. Like, you can see, like, the guy being angry and threatening, and still, like, it's still, I can't have done anything wrong. It's like seeing is not believing to these people, okay? You know, and I've heard as well, like, the women, like, ex-police officers that were working for Tate as well, like, that they were being threatening towards the, women that were working for him as well.
Tate's angels, meaning the bottom, the two women, I mean, that's what they call them, bro. What do you want me to say? This is what it reads.
Charlie's? They don't want to say hoes?
Hey, man, listen. These are the women who work for him. The Ghislaine Maxwells. If you don't make money, we're going to have a problem. Punch yourself in the mouth until I arrive, because then I'll give you another 10, you incurable slacker. And the other girl says, I'll break you when I get there. And the victim says, what did I do? And the bottom is, you have 1 hour and 10 minutes to disappear. And the victim says, but what did I do? You're down 20%, 4 days since you posted. And she says, if Andrew looks to see you if you posted TikToks, you won't even have time to pack. You're flying off the balcony straight away.
So I kind of think, like, people say, like, oh, he's being held for no reason, or there's no evidence against him, and I think, well, it kind of seems to me like there's a lot of evidence, like, he's done some dodgy stuff, okay? I don't understand, like, I mean, and again, with allegations, it's like, yeah, some people lie, but when you get a lot of people coming forward and saying, oh, yeah, he did this, or he did that, it's like, well, yeah, people do have to look into it, okay? Because the more people are, like, claiming something, the more likely there is to be some truth in it. Okay, but the other thing that actually, like, really does bug me is when some of these people, they go down the road of blaming the woman, okay? And they always do this in the manosphere. You know that even if he was found guilty of rape, guilty of bloody holding women prisoner, you know full well that some people would just blame the women, okay? And you get this kind of response from people.
But I could see him thinking like, hey, if I, get the belt and chase this girl around, she's going to do what I say. I could definitely see him thinking that and doing something like that. But at the end of the day, it's like, what is, you know what I mean? Like these women, they did kind of put themselves in the situation. There's videos of women freely moving about the compound. I don't think he was like locking anybody in his house and, chaining them up and forcing them to be like slaves working on the webcam. Maybe he threatened them with physical violence. But like ultimately, the situation is just like so gray. And I think that even if he did do something like that, it definitely is unethical. But I think that they wouldn't chase around. There's so many people who have done something like that are not going to be put in jail or even threatened with being put in jail. Like they want to use this to put the nail in his coffin. Yeah, that's my theory. I don't take a moral stance. It's just if I had to guess in reality what happened, I think it would be something along those lines.
Well, Abba from Abba and Preach had a really good take on it. He was having a discussion, I think, with Destiny about it. But, essentially what Tate was back then when he was running those webcam businesses, he was a pimp, right? And so pimps, like the general idea of the pimp is that, like, they're gonna smack a bitch if they get out of line. They're not necessarily doing, like, pimps are, I imagine, they're businessmen first, right? They're just all about making money. And so you have, like, we talk about this in the ministry all the time. You have a bunch of just like women. Women are very emotional, right? They can be emotionally unstable. You have a bunch, and then you add a bunch of them together. You're gonna have drama, chaos, all this other type of stuff. So in order to keep order, it's a very practical solution to use a lot of force, to use intimidation, whatever. So again, I'm not excusing what Tate did at all, but that is the nature of the business. If you're a pimp, it's gonna be more surprising if you don't use a little bit of violence to get your women in line than if you do it in a very peaceful way. Because if you do it in a very peaceful way, they're probably not gonna listen to you. Because the types of girls that get into that type of stuff in the first place are probably gonna be highly emotional and will only respond to those types of things.
Okay, and bearing in mind as well that this is a guy who normally calls out misogyny actually in the manosphere. He's actually quite critical of like some things that people in the manosphere say, but here you are like defending a guy saying that like, oh, it's normal for pimps to just slap women around, or oh, you got a lot of women all working together, surely they're going to be crazy and being a pain in the ass. It's it's the same, it's the woman's fault deflection that they always use in the manosphere if ever a man does something wrong, okay? And it's like, well, first of all, the fact that it might be normal for pimps to like hit the women that are working for them doesn't mean that it's right. Okay, something being normal doesn't mean it's right, and especially like if you're pushing this guy as being a good role model for young men, okay, which this Kevin does. He goes on about how he thinks Andrew Tate is a better role model for young men than the other fresh and fit crew.
And this is coming from somebody who is a fan of Andrew Tate, and I think he's great. I think he's a much better alternative than guys like Fresh and Fit, for example, because I think Tate's an actual like admirable, like strong, capable person.
Okay, and then you're sitting here saying, well, he's a pimp that smacks some women around. That's just normal. It's like, really, like that's a good role model for men, is it? You know, if you've got a son, you look at him and say like, oh, I hope he's an abusive pimp one day. Okay. Also, like I've said before, this kind of attitude is kind of what makes it harder for some people to like be supportive of like the manosphere and the red pill community and all that, because when it comes to men's rights issues, okay, it's one thing to say you want to defend a guy who you think is falsely accused, like if you actually genuinely think that Andrew Tate is falsely accused of rape or falsely accused of abuse, okay, that's one thing to defend that. But when these guys go down the road of actually defending somebody if they think they are, saying like, well, yeah, he's probably hitting the women, but, that's just normal, and women are such a pain in the ass when they're working together. It's like, when you go down the road of, it's not like just not a case of defending somebody because you think they're falsely accused, but you'll actually defend the actual abuser. And bearing in mind that the manosphere really likes to paint a picture of like women always being the bad ones in relationships, and likes to sort of make out that this female nature is everything bad. It's always like this attitude of like men being like these wonderful, perfect snowflakes that can do nothing wrong, and the female gender just being these crazy, horrible people, okay? And like, they're the ones who like, some of the people in their community, like the way they describe their relationships, the way they describe the way they treat their partners, the way they describe how to be an alpha male and how to control women. It sounds like you're writing a blooming textbook on how to abuse your partner, and like you actually will support abusers in your community. Okay, that's what I think. Okay, so yeah, whether that Andrew Tate's guilty of everything he's been accused of or not, it's like it doesn't matter. Like this community they'll still support the guy, and they'll still turn everything round on the women somehow. So that's all I've got to say about that for now. Thank you for listening.